Bo Bichette is a New York Met. It's Bo time, baby. What a move by David Stearns, pivoting from Kyle Tucker and going out and getting one of the best free agents on the market. And a classic Mets David Stearns move, the guy we hadn't talked about because we said they have so many infielders. Are they going to add another one? And they did. You're watching Mets Daily. It's an emergency episode. We had a show. Go watch it with Ashley Wenskowski. Great job from her reacting to Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers. About an hour or so after we dropped the show, maybe less than that, the Mets went out and signed Bo Bichette. Smash that thumbs up in that video. Hit subscribe here. Hit that thumbs up. Keep on commenting. We're not going to read your comments on this shorter emergency show. We'll be back on Monday with Matthew Sharona, Mets blog, but we had to drop a second show today after we heard that news. The deal. 3 years, $146 million. $42 million a year, no deferrals. There is a $5 million opt-out bonus, meaning Bo Bichette's probably opting out after a year. Unless he gets hurt or has a bad season, he's likely going to enter free agency year 2. Now, he might not if there's a lockout next year, so we'll see. But there's an opt-out after year 1 and year 2. Listen, opt-outs aren't great, but the reality is the Mets wanted to make their lineup better, and they did that today by signing Bo Bichette. Position-wise, they're going to say he's going to play third base. Now, he hasn't played third base in his career. Bo Bichette has been a shortstop his whole career. He's played no other position. Now, he did play second base in the World Series. So on the biggest stage possible, while he was hurt, he moved over to play second base, and he was fine and had a great World Series, hit a huge clutch home run. And the key in this Bo Bichette signing, a couple things. One, great clutch hitter. Bo Bichette, with runners in scoring position, hit .381 with 80 RBIs last year. The Mets were the king of solo homers and not really playing small ball or hitting it with runners in scoring position. Well, Bo Bichette solves that. A 1,053 OPS, 80 RBIs, 381 average with runners in scoring position in 2025. Jorge Polanco, 337 with a 985 OPS and 52 RBIs with runners in scoring position. The Mets have gotten way better in terms of clutch hitting with these additions. And Bo Bichette is a pro's pro. I mean, a good clubhouse guy regarded in Toronto. You know, like I said, hit well in the World Series, 8 for 23 with the homer and 6 RBIs in the World Series. The guy's been to the playoffs 4 times in a Blue Jays uniform, and he's in his prime. I think that's key here. He will turn 28 years old in March, so it'll be his year 28 season. If he opts out, he opts out, but the Mets went out there and got him for cheaper than they would have had to get Kyle Tucker. And you can argue he's not as good, but in terms of a high caliber hitter, and again, runner in scoring position, hitting well has been his thing. Now, 2024, he kind of fell off the face of the earth, but the guy's a career 294 hitter. He had the second best average in baseball, hitting 311, which was way better than any other Met last season. And he was second in Major League Baseball with 44 doubles, and that's in 139 games. So he didn't play for 23 games and still put up incredible numbers in a Blue Jays uniform, helping them get to the World Series. A big part of their winning ways and a big part of them being a winning team. You know, like I mentioned, they've been to the playoffs 4 times with him in a Blue Jays uniform. 3 of the last 4 years. So this guy knows what October's like. You know, some key things noted by Will Salmon, who broke the news, is the Mets approached Bichette back in the winter meetings. They met with him earlier this week, and Bo's brother was coached by Carlos Mendoza in the minor league system. So there is a family connection there. There is a Florida baseball connection with him and David Peterson as well, dating back to 2013. So a lot of ties here with Bo Bichette and the Mets. And listen, I know it's like, oh, here we go, you know, run prevention, and you're playing a guy at third who's never played there. I also think you could, you know, if the Mets decide to keep Beatty, and we'll talk about him in a second, they could decide, hey, let's play Beatty at third and DH Bichette. I think there's some options here. But you had to go get the best hitter. And what's good about him, too, is a right-hand hitter. We talked about the Mets needing to get a right-handed bat to even out this lineup. They did that here with Bo Bichette. And, you know, Kyle Tucker would have been another lefty in the lineup. You just went out there and got another righty. You know, you look at Bichette's 2021 season, incredible. 22 season, really good. 2025 season, really good. 2023 season, solid. This is basically a 300 hitter who's going to hit a whole lot of doubles. This is a 40 to 50 double guy, a 20 to 30 homer guy, a 90 to 110 RBI guy, a guy that, you know, can steal you 20 to 25 bags like he did in 2021. His on base isn't incredible, but it's good enough. It's over a third of the rate, over 333. percentage. So this is a great move. I love this by the Mets. And if he opts out, so be it. But for the 2026 Mets, this makes their lineup better. And this was, a nice pivot. Here's the other caveat to this Bo Bichette deal. They took him away from the Phillies. The Phillies offered around 7 for $200, and the Mets called him last night and said, "Hey, how about 3 for $146? We'll give you $42 million a year instead of maybe just $30 million a year." Bo Bichette said, "Why would I not do that?" I mean, it's a no-brainer for him, and if he has a great season, he'll enter free agency. And hey, the Mets have the pockets where if they like Bo Bichette, the person in the clubhouse, they could say next offseason, "Bo, we'd love to bring it back." And maybe that's the guy you give a long-term deal to. But I love this move from the Mets, man. I just think it's a unexpected move, just like Polanco. You didn't see coming. So Bo Bichette is a New York Met. Where do they go from here? What does it mean for Brett Baty? Right now the Mets are saying, they're going to try Baty at first base. Baty maybe in left field. I'd rather them go get an outfielder. To me, I think Baty just has too much value in a trade, and the Mets still have to get a starting pitcher and an outfielder. I see Baty in a trade. I see Baty in a trade. I see Vientos in a trade. Maybe the Mets even Acuna in a trade. Maybe Acuna they keep. But to me, Baty has so much more value than Mark Vientos because he plays defense and has some speed. Again, Mark Vientos is slow and doesn't play defense, so I don't think you're getting a lot. Vientos is going to have to be in a much bigger package, where I think Baty and one other and a prospect could get the Mets a decent piece, maybe a starting pitcher. So I don't know. I'm good with keeping Baty as well. If you keep Baty, you throw him at first, see what you got, and then you DH Polanco, or maybe you mix and match Baty and Polanco at first base, one DH, one at first. Maybe against lefties, Baty sits. There's a lot of options the Mets can have here, but in my opinion, I just think the Mets are better off trading Baty to get better at other positions of need. This team still right now has a hole at DH if Polanco is playing first. I don't know. To me, I'd aim higher than Brett Baty, and I would move on from Brett Baty. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. But part of that trade, one of those trades that's possible, Jarren Duran. Jarren Duran, I'd be good if the Mets got him. I'd be good if they didn't. I think a lot of people don't like his attitude, the clubhouse fit. Would he fit in New York? I understand that. But the Red Sox are in dire need of a third baseman. To me, a Baty Peterson for Duran trade almost makes too much sense for both sides. Duran and Peterson are pretty much same money, around $8-9 million. You get your outfielder. You have Benj, Duran, and Soto in your outfield. You have Bichette, Lindor, Simeon, Polanco in the infield. I don't know. To me, I think a deal for Duran makes sense. Now, if you get Wilyer Abreu from the Red Sox, that's intriguing too. You want to talk about a great defensive outfield. You add Abreu, a Gold Glover, and Benj with Soto. It's a solid defensive outfield. Obviously, Soto's not great defensively, but Benj is regarded nicely in the outfield, and Abreu's a Gold Glover. So Wilyer Abreu, Jarren Duran, those are the two names of the Red Sox. If they have an interest in a Brett Baty, Mark Vientos, Luis Angel Acuna, those are the three names I think the Mets will be shopping. Maybe even Ronnie Mauricio. Those are the four guys. My guess is 2 of the 4 are getting traded. There's just no spot to just stash them in the minor leagues. So that's my first thought. Now, if you don't like the fit clubhouse-wise, give the Twins a call. I know they've said they're going to keep Byron Buxton. He's got the no trade, but if you can blow the Twins away, like with Sproat, Baty, Jet Williams, Jacob Reimer for Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton, sign me the hell up. You talk about the Mets maybe adding a Byron Buxton and Bo Bichette to their lineup, and I don't want to hear a word about Alonso, Nimmo, and those guys, because the Mets just had a home run off season if they pull that off. Now, we don't know if that trade's available. Another guy, Steven Kwan. Can the Mets trade? Does Cleveland have any interest in trading Steven Kwan? You make him your new leadoff hitter, move everyone down a spot. That's intriguing to me. Brendan Doyle, a guy we talked about. Luis Robert, a guy we've talked about. The Mets are going to trade for an outfielder. I'd be shocked if they say we're going to put Brett Baty, Carson Benj in the outfield, and we're done. And then starting pitching. That's something we talked about. They need a frontline starter. Freddie Peralta, Christian Yelich, a deal we talked about today with Ashley. Is that something the Mets consider? The Brewers, getting rid of Yelich's contract. The Mets put Yelich in the outfield, and you got Benj, Yelich, and Soto. That would be an intriguing lineup with Christian Yelich in it, coming off a really good season. So there's a lot of ways the Mets can go here, but this was the first step. You got yourself your right-handed bat. Now you need an outfielder, and you need a starting pitcher, and then the offseason is looking a lot better than it was a day or two ago. I'm pumped up, guys. Brett Beatty, we'll see if he's a Met, but right now, Bo Bichette's a Met, and the Mets lineup got infinitely better with one of the more clutch hitters in baseball. Like we said, runners in scoring position. In the second half of the season, he's been as good as anyone in the league. Runners in scoring position in general, he's been one of the best. He's an extra base machine. This is the kind of guy the Mets need. He's not all about the home run, which Pete Nimmo really about the home run. The Mets are trying to get more, better hitters, better situational hitters, not just guys that hit 30 or 40 homers. If they want a 40-homer guy, Eugenio Suarez is still out there in free agency if they wanted to do that. If you wanted to sign Suarez, make him your DH, you can do that. But a lot, again, we have no idea what Stearns is going to do, and it's thrilling. They finally made a move. It's a big one, and now we can cook. So get pumped, Mets fans. This is great. Let us know your feelings below. We'll talk to you Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Smash that thumbs up. Hit subscribe and follow your boy at Jake Brown Live. Let's go, Mets. Bo Bichette is a Met. Sorry, Phillies. We'll talk to you Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.